Hello, good morning everyone. Myself Deepak Sahu. I am assistant professor in electronics and communication department. Uh, Today it will be a introductory class on electronic devices, which is mainly dealing with semiconductor devices and its properties and its application and its physics. Uh, okay, now to begin with basic introduction. This is a list of points that we are going to follow while studying the introduction of quantum mechanics, which is basically divided. Uh, First of all, we will need to know why we want to study quantum mechanics to study the semiconductor devices. Many of you students are from CBSE and IC boards, which deals with a basic introduction of semiconductor physics, which has its circuit solving analysis and various events. So in this subject, electronic devices, the first unit is the basic foundation of all the further units which we are going to study, which is mainly dealing with the flow of electrons, which mainly governs the semiconductor devices and its working. Now, in foundation of quantum mechanics, uh, I have mentioned here some basic points which we need to deal with, primarily being features of classical mechanics. Why we will be studying classical mechanics in reference to the quantum mechanics, what's its use and further analysis regarding this. Uh, if we go in a little bit further analysis of these, two main points uh, which are dealt here. Primarily, we will be mainly concerned with these two things. One of which is now if we basically see quantum mechanics, quantum mechanics and classical mechanics, classical mechanics. We are first to here to understand what is the main difference or what is the main analysis between quantum mechanics and classical mechanics, and what was the need as to how what was the need arised due to which there was a need to study quantum mechanics, to study the characteristics of semiconductor devices. Now, this unit will be taking some help from chemistry and some portion of physics, which deals with quantum mechanics. We will not be going into very deep, like in chemistry, to study the postulates of quantum mechanics. We are here to discuss the physics of electrons. So our whole quantum mechanics will be limited to this point only, not deep like in chemistry subjects. So firstly, we will see what is classical mechanics. First, we will see what is classical mechanics and what laws govern it. So coming back to the slide, uh, we will see what led to the advent of classical mechanics as to how the need arises. Now here in this slide we can see uh, there are two types of particles we deals with, micro and microscopic. There are two types of particles we see. First is macro and second is micro. Now macro particles deals with larger bodies. Macro particles deals with larger bodies, like if we take the example from smaller, like a simple ball, football, a moving car, and if you take a larger bodies further from this, then it can be celestial bodies, planets, and something like that. And if we deal with the microsystem or microparticles deals with the movement and study of electrons. Movement and study of electrons. Now the problem arises when we move into microparticles or in a smaller domains, which we generally call as subatomic particles. Then actually at some point, the laws of classical mechanics seems to disobey uh, classical mechanics law, which we mainly say as a Newtonian or classical laws of motion. We will see in a while how this is disobey these laws. But before going into the realm of quantum mechanics, we will be taking some examples of classical mechanics, and we will be understanding as to how and what points we need to focus as to study in this first unit. Now, I have taken here an example of classical mechanics. A moving particle, or to be precise further, this is an precise trajectory of a particle in which a particle has been thrown at a particular angle from a certain point, and it seems to move and land at some particular other point. Now, if we define position vector here, which is governed by the value r, now the governing parameters is they present there apart from time, primarily being x, y, and z. Now, the x, y, and z position actually determine the motion in a three-dimensional system, which governs a 3D image of the moving particle, and the time defines the exact location and the value at which point is moving. Now here, the exact position r and velocity, which is shown by v, leads to the momentum of a particle that has a mass m. Now to know precisely the position at a point, the fourth parameter other than x, y, and z, which we have already mentioned as a time, has to be there, else we cannot determine the momentum and the position of a particle. Now here we will see that all the parameters mentioned here, like v, r, and momentum, are not scalar quantities, but actually are vector quantities. These depend at what angle that particle has been thrown in a 3D space, and that resultant will be governed by the throwing angle and further things. Now, motion can be primarily governed as a combination of these 3 points, which is actually mentioned here, which is shown here: translation, vibration, and rotation. All these individually or combined determine the motion of a particle. And when things are in motion, then there is a continuous change of energies due to this movement, which is termed here as a continuum of energy states. These individually or in a combined form will affect and govern the various motion of energy of states. Now, Our primary concern here uh, is to see how or why need was arised to study quantum mechanics, or to be elaborated further in a simple language, if we are here to discuss why we need or why the need arised to understand the motion of electron in a subatomic domain, the primary answer to this is electron a particle or wave? This dilemma lead to the rise of quantum mechanics, quantum mechanics, because classical mechanics wasn't able to explain this dual phenomena of electron. Classical particle wasn't able to explain this dual phenomena because in reality, when experimented was conducted, electron shows both nature of a particle as well as of wave. To explain this dual nature, the need of quantum mechanics arose, and quantum mechanics was able to also successfully explain. Now, coming back to slide, as in point 3, we can see particles and waves are distinguishable phenomena with different characteristics, properties, and behavior. This is the basic way which differentiates both these things, which you already mentioned just here. That is electron actually showing a particle nature or a nature of a wave. Now, individually, we will first see is a as to what constitutes the property of and characteristic behavior of a particle and as well a wave. Now, in the point 3, it is clearly shown. In the point 3, it is clearly shown. Firstly, as to what property is possessed, as to what property is possessed by a particle, as to what by a particle, and what property is actually possessed by a wave. Now it is clearly shown here. See my cursor movement. Uh, that a particle has a property, mass, position, velocity, which is actually in reality also. If a particle is in motion, it will have a mass, it will have a particular position at any point of time, and it will have a velocity. Now, behavioral wise, if a particle is in motion, then it will have momentum as well as it will have collisions while moving within a region or a domain. Now we will see here what constitutes the property of a wave, that it has wavelength and frequency. Behavioral wise, it is seen like here it shows here momentum and collision. It shows diffraction and interference. This is more like a showing the property of a light, because light constitutes also of a wave. Now moving further, some relevant question in a continuum of momentum. For example, particle constitutes of two types of energies, kinetic energy as well as potential energy. Kinetic energy denoted here by T depends on the velocity moving, and potential energy depends on the potential, which actually depends on R. R can be a neutral position or a reference position from a certain wave. Now, energy here constitutes of a kinetic energy as well as potential energy. And since momentum is represented here by P equals to mv, so using this conversion, energy is actually represented in the form of momentum as well as potential. Now here in the see the note, energy, kinetic energy, potential energy, all constitutes of a and depends on the vector quantity at a particular point of time. Time is always mentioned there. Now, for example, if we take a one-dimensional system, a straight line translation motion of a particle under the influence of a potential acting parallel to the direction of motion. Now, position is defined by r equals to x, velocity, rate of change of position or distance vector, and momentum, further like mass into acceleration, and potential energy dv by dx. Now, using the Newton's second law of motion, force is given by mass into acceleration, mass into dv by dt, and the further distance. Now, this actually force term constitutes type of differential equation here as mentioned, which can be written by my trajectory or anything further which leads to the solution of this system. Now in a second example, one-dimensional harmonic oscillator is being shown here. Now first example actually tells all about a particle in a motion. And this second example, which constitutes of one-dimension harmonic oscillator, will actually represent being, in spite of being a mechanical setup, a mechanical system, this will actually show the characteristics of a wave. We will see further how. Now there is a fixed point and there is a spring which is being pushed or elongated, which shows a displacement x. It has a mass m. Which can be a further pushing force or any particle. Now, according to Hooke's law, the force is given by a negative value of kx. Negative value actually represents the restoring force. Now, this force, either a pushing force or elongating force, will lead to the acceleration or deceleration of a spring system, which is actually further shown here at the bottom, m dx square by dt square equals to minus kx. Now, if we solve this differential equation, which is shown at the bottom, the distance which actually be governed by a sine omega t, which is actually a sine function. If we solve this omega, it will comes to be this, and frequency comes to be this. Now, if we see, if we plot the motion of the particle or value of x, which is a function here, to the function of a sine omega t, now if we see the characteristics of this wave, which actually is governed by frequency and wavelength, does not actually depend on the magnitude, because frequency is shown here omega upon 2 pi, it does not have any magnitude term, which clearly shows behavior of a particle, because behavior of a wave does not depend actually of the amplitude, but it depends on the frequency of oscillation, which indirectly depends on the wavelength of wave. So these are two basic examples of a mechanical system, so which clearly distinguish as to distinguish the behavior of a particle and a wave. Now we will take a basic example as to how the contradiction of classical mechanics was found in the explanation of a mechanical system. This is a famous photoelectric effect, which first time shows and defied some behavior or shown some behavior, which actually does not governed by a classical explanation. For example, we all know light is a form of wave, and if it is particularly bombarded on a particle emitting a substance, so if we go through the analogy of classical mechanics and see, if a light is bombarded on some system, then when light hits a particular surface, it transfers some form of energy. And if energy overcomes the work function is the minimum energy required to eject an particle from its outer shell. So as soon as light hits the surface, according to classical mechanics, the electrons should be ejected from the outer system, but actually it did not happen. Light, when reached at a particular frequency, then only lead to the ejection of particle, which clearly contradicts the theory of classical mechanics, because light does not emitted at any wavelength or at any frequency that leads to the ejection of particle, but at a particular frequency it leads to the ejection of particle. And even when held at a particular frequency and intensity of light was increased, it did not increase the kinetic energy of the ejected particles, but only lead to the large number of ejection of electrons from the system. I may want to be very clear. It leads to the large number of ejected electrons, not the increase of energy of particles. Whatever particles were ejecting earlier, if light intensity was increased, then for example, earlier 10 particles were ejected, then after increasing the intensity of light at a particular frequency, more than 10 or 20 electrons ejected. But the energy of particles did not change. So classical energy wasn't able to explain, if light is a form of wave, then why didn't it continuously ejected electrons as soon as light was hit on the surface? So this is the basic example which lead to the contradiction of classical mechanics with this system. Now I am going to stop here, and in the next lecture we will see further how it can be done, and how further things can be explained using this, and how we will use it to study its values. So that's it for now, and we will be sharing more lecture in the next lecture. Thank you for now. Okay, students, thank you.